We're going to talk about Prince Andrew now, because on Friday I was doing my Times radio show, and Fridays are now a hotspot for fucking mad shit happening in the early evening. Of course, there was the Oval Office bust up back in February when I did my second ever Times radio show and had to become a roll-in fucking news anchor. And then it breaks that Prince Andrew has renounced his royal titles. So I had to ditch my funny jokes, and we're talking to a constitutional expert within no time at all. I always think when those stories break, by the way, there is a certain group of people that are like, fucking, they must just emerge from hibernation. It was like people that understood graphs during COVID. It's absolutely, fucking feast. And then, so he's kind of gone, right, I've had a chat with the king and we feel, and you're going, is it we, or did he just tell you? We feel that maybe I should renounce some of my titles, right? So at first I thought he wasn't going to be a prince anymore, but apparently that's a constitutional thing. So all the kind of Earl of fucking Wicklesworth or whatever, all that stuff's gone. Duke of York's gone. So he's just a mere Prince Andrew now. But it turns out that they're trying to get out in front of stuff, because there are revelations that have come out. So even after Epstein was convicted, there was an email where Prince Andrew said, basically fawning over him and said, we'll play again soon. Play. I mean, you cannot convict somebody just on the use of one word. But if I was in the jury, I'd be such a pitchfork guy. I'd go, he done it. He fucking done it. If he said play, that's too creepy. He fucking did it. Am I just being a rank populist, Simon?
A what? A rape populist?
No, a rank populist.
A rank populist. I think we're still a couple of iterations away from rape populism. Yeah.
Yeah, Jesus.
I mean, what with him and Mandelson, it's like the British are the most shameless supporters. I suppose we all have those. We've probably all got actual mates, who get into a bit of trouble, maybe with the law, and you go, "Don't let the buggers grind you down," or whatever. You'll get through this, mate. I'll be waiting for you when you get out, or whatever. There is that kind of, but it's just not acceptable, is it, for a royal prince to have that kind of relationship with Epstein in the first place? Yeah, it is disgraceful. There is, I mean, I've said this before, but the part of me that it gets angry about this stuff is that I think Prince Andrew is just not the sharpest tool in the shed. I don't know how much actual ammunition, how much how many secrets he was privy to. Hopefully the British establishment that were allowing him to be a trade envoy and so on were not equipping him with anything, very much that he could do damage with. It hopefully
just keep him busy.
Yeah, exactly. Just keep him I like to picture him as like Lisa Simpson with her driving wheel at the beginning. I'm driving the car. Sure you are, Andrew. But the big question remains that we're still no closer to answering is, what was Epstein? What was he a construct? Was he acting on behalf of another country's secret service? A lot of people point the finger at Mossad. Was he a Mossad asset or what? This is the big question that needs answering, rather than was he basically, is it an updated version of the Playboy Mansion? It's obviously disgraceful. It's humiliating. It's unacceptable that anyone connected with the royal family should bring such disgrace upon us. And the new book that's come out that's demonstrated just how much he and Sarah Ferguson, continued to just suck at the teat of state long after their legitimate access to it should have been
greedily, hungrily sucking at the teat of state. I mean, it is just that there does feel like there's a house of cards here. And from the public point of view, the whole Epstein thing does kind of like, they're all at it. And I have no doubt that there are people that went to that island that probably went, fucking hell, that's a bit much. Like not everybody that went there was clearly wrong one, but I think there's a decent proportion that's my view, that did bad shit. Tony Blair, he was asked about Epstein, and he said, as far as I can remember, I only spent 30 minutes with him. Again, I'm going to say, as far as I can remember, that is post-stag do talk. When you come back, babe. Yeah, we went to a strip club, but as far as I can remember, we was only in there 20 minutes. And I said to the lads, I don't know about you, I actually feel uncomfortable. It's one of those ones, isn't it? I was asking, I just gave her money. I said, I don't want to dance. No, that's for college. I mean, you mentioned a book coming out. This is the posthumous book by Virginia. I can't remember, Guthrie or I can't remember that surname.
I saw a bloke on Times Radio the other day, your channel, who just pronounced it Jeffrey. So I don't know if that's all right, but maybe that's okay.
Well, this book it will be out now, and it's going to be explosive and damning. And one story that was already done in the Sunday Times was the story that Andrew tried to get information about her, which clearly seems like, right, let's find out about who is she, what's she done wrong. You know, that's the inference, is that he was trying to kind of tear down her reputation. And it's a bit of a problem considering he said he never knew who the fuck she was, right? And not only that, he fucking lied to Emily Maitlis, which you cannot do in British polite society. You just can't do that, mate.
No, although that is the point in the interview at which my loyalties are stretched to breaking point. I do feel very much a curse on both their houses at that point, and watching her own funded and sort of overseen dramatisation of herself. I got the well, there was one that she was behind, wasn't there? And there was another one that was independent. But I
mean, just as a journalist, though, that is apex fucking outcome, isn't it? Yeah. Where you sit down and you do an interview where everyone thinks, "Wow, she got him." Apparently, after that, Prince Andrew, this is like this is what entitlement really looks like, is that he didn't think it had gone that fucking bad. And I think we've all had that moment. Have you ever had that where you're at the comedy store and the open spot goes on and just dies, and everyone's thinking because the green room's very tight and claustrophobic. Right, what do we do when this person gets back?
Do you know what though? He wasn't like the open spot. That's it. This just occurred to me. But what he was like is the bloke who was a stand-up comic like in the 80s. You know, who just isn't match fit anymore. He used to close the comedy store back in the days when all you had to do was mention Thatcher and everyone would go, hey, you know. And he hasn't updated his material in 20 years. He thought he was still talking to Selena Scott, didn't he?
He would have gone Thatcher, close friend. Yeah, love her work. I mean, it is. You mentioned earlier in a slightly different context about these men hanging on in there, and it is always incredible to me when it's so clear that your reputation is fucked. People have worked out who you are. Surely it's got to be less exhausting and less upsetting and a strain on you to just say, "Yeah, I did some bad stuff, man. Fuck it." Like, time to take the rap. This constant running. Apparently what he does now is he just sits in his royal residence playing video games. That's I started finding out Osama bin Laden used to really like Real Housewives or whatever it was he used to fucking.
If I was him, I mean, with the resources and the upbringing he's had, I would go out hunting as often as possible and just hope at some point you try and clear a 5-bar gate and nature takes its course, you know, and it's an honourable exit.
Or take down a few elks with you. I mean, there are, you know, William. So apparently this has come from William. He's basically said to his dad, you know, like you know when your kid needs you to do something, Dad, could you fucking deal with this, because this is gonna be a night. It's gonna start my reign, really. Dad, could you please, Dad, and it is a reminder of why I personally still love the royal family and always will. Right? It's not because I think they're better than me. I think it's the opposite. I think that they are no better than me. That's what I love about it. So having a pervy uncle, right, or worse, that's family stuff. Divorces, affairs, pervy uncle, estranged siblings, drink problems. That is exactly what I love about the royal family. Is just, I'm not saying I like what this story is or what it's represented, but it's just a reminder, no matter how much fucking money and privilege you got, people still do stupid shit.
Yeah, I'm from a very small family, as you know, only child, mum's an only child, discovered later in life several hundred half siblings because I'm actually turned out to be a sperm donor child. And consequently, I don't really have much experience of the sort of wider, you know, the lateral, the dark sheep of the family kind of dynamic in families. I always really wanted a pervy uncle, really. That would have livened things up a little bit, you know, at Christmas.
Well, I'm not talking about any specific, you know, in that list of things I mentioned, the worst stuff doesn't apply to my family, but some of it applies to most, you know, like bigger families. And you know, he's just the other question, just finally before we move on, this guy's got some, like, how did he have the 12 million to pay her off in 2017? The other question is, where the fuck does this guy's money come from, right? Because he's clearly not a deal maker.